Ever since Murder on the Orient Express, I know the big question on everybody's mind is, what is the origin of Inspector Poirot's mustache? I mean, look at that thing. It's majestic. Based on the Agatha Christie novel, director Kenneth Branagh returns behind the camera and on screen as the sleuthful detective Inspector Poirot. This time he is again called upon to help solve a murderous mystery aboard a boat on the Nile River, where every passenger is a suspect. Ever since Murder on the Orient Express, I wasn't even sure if we were going to get a sequel. The first one didn't do great at the box office. It got some so-so reviews from what I remember, and I remember just being like, yeah, it was alright. It was an okay movie. But when they said they were going to go ahead and they were going to make the sequel, Death on the Nile, I was like, okay, because I like Kenneth Branagh as the character of Hercule Poirot. A lot of charisma, and I think everything they do with his character is fantastic. And having never read any of the Agatha Christie books, I could see, however, how much influence the two stories, how those have kind of influenced a lot of murder mysteries. And look, I like a good murder mystery. I really do. At the same time, I feel like they've kind of run out of tropes. They've kind of run out of stuff to kind of keep me on my toes and guessing. Because this movie, while, this has got a great stacked cast, and it's got an impeccable director in Kenneth Branagh, I think just a lot of the mystery, I was like, in the end. Like, it didn't, I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, who did it? Where, looking for the clues. This movie kind of is equivalent to, me playing Wordle, and my sister sitting across from me looking at my phone going, there's the word. Well, I'm sitting there struggling. I get 3 of the letters. I got 3 of the clues during the movie. Okay, I know, ooh, this thing's a big clue. Oh, this is a big clue. Oh, this character's kind of shady, but I couldn't put all the pieces together, to where by the end, you could solve the mystery. My sister, on the other hand, can look at my Wordle, see the 3 letters I got, and tell me what word it is without even having to really hesitate, and it makes me mad. Just kind of like watching a murder mystery. I like getting mad at the murder mystery, though, because it's like, okay, I think I got it. I think I nailed it. And then in the end, when you get your big, climactic, this is who did it in this room with this item, you kind of feel dumb, like, oh, okay, that does make sense. And there's times where you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, where did you get this, jump in logic from? If you've seen a murder mystery, you've seen a bunch of them, and this one doesn't do a whole lot to really impress me. Look, like I said, this cast is actually pretty stacked. You got Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot, as we've mentioned, phenomenal. Then you're gonna have Annette Bening. The great Annette Bening is in this in a bit part. You got Russell Brand, who I think this might be one of his best performances I've ever seen. Not that he gets a lot of screen time, but I liked him on screen when he was. Then you get Gal Gadot, and then Armie Hammer, who, look, we don't even talk about Armie Hammer. If you've heard the news about him, whatever, go look it up. We don't talk about Armie Hammer. And then Letitia Wright, who I really like. Everybody will know her from the Black Panther movies as Shuri. This cast from top to bottom is filled with phenomenal actors. And with a director like Kenneth Branagh at the helm again, I was like, okay, I will give this a shot. This should at least be a well-done movie with a great cast. Even if the murder and the mystery behind whodunit, isn't the greatest, I should still be able to enjoy this. And like I said, I enjoy Kenneth Branagh as this character. I enjoy seeing this cast. It's impressive just to see all these people on screen at the same time. But I thought Kenneth Branagh would be able to get a lot more out of this cast than he actually did. Gal Gadot is an actress I really like. And, she's Wonder Woman. I think she's great as Wonder Woman. But in this movie, I was really hoping, I haven't really seen a whole lot of range from Gal and a bunch of other stuff. She was in Red Notice, which she was just okay in. But I was really hoping with this type of director that a performance could be pulled out of her to make me go, okay, Gal is a bona fide, just great actress. But after seeing it, she's still just okay. She's good. I like Gal. I still like her. It didn't make me hate her, but I just feel like her performance wasn't pushed or pulled to where it could have been. And it was unfortunate because, like I said, I like Gal. Everybody else, though, is kind of the same thing. I thought, the performances were okay to good at best. And nobody blew me out of the water. I mean, obviously, Kenneth Branagh is still the standout. So good for him. Being in front of the camera, being behind the camera, and just leading this ship, pun not intended. Being familiar with, the whodunit kind of tropes and everything. It just, nothing really wowed me. Nothing made me go, I would recommend this movie to people for X Factor or for this. The best I could say is anything involving the Hercule Poirot character is great, but that's one fraction of this whole that just, I can't just recommend on that. I don't think this is going to be one that people are going to talk about 4 or 5 years down the road. Shoot, I don't think people are going to be talking about this in a couple months, especially with director Kenneth Branagh having his other film that came out not that long ago, Belfast, which is nominated for several Oscars this year. Like, that's one I would point people to. Like, this is the Kenneth Branagh that I thought we were going to get in Death of the Nile. Like, somebody who, really took this material and elevated everything and everyone in it, and it's just not that. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to compare this to Belfast, but just more in terms of Kenneth Branagh as a director. But I just didn't get a satisfaction out of this like I did Belfast. And I think Belfast is his better work. This just seems like another day at the office for him, or he's also pulling double duty. So maybe that has something to do with it, because it clearly isn't easy being in front of the camera and behind the camera. And then, yeah, of course, as I mentioned at the top of the video, we get the origin of Inspector Poirot's mustache, which was interesting. If you've seen Belfast, you'll get this, because when this film opens up, it's black and white, and they kind of go into the origins of Inspector Poirot. And, if for a minute I was thinking, like, oh man, are we jumping back into Belfast? Like, it got me a little excited. That was probably my favorite bit of this movie, was the opening a prologue, I guess you would say, before we get into the meat and the what the crux of the actual story of Death of the Nile is. So that's my big highlight of the film, is that opening, and then that is where we do see this mustache come into play, like why he decides to have this particular mustache and who may or may not have influenced that mustache. So I thought that was actually a pretty cool element. I don't know if that's from the books or anything. Like I said, I am no Agatha Christie connoisseur, so if anybody knows that, drop a comment down below. Like with the first film, Murder on the Orient Express, I wanted to go in loving that one as well, but it kind of fell into the same trapping. But I was hoping that the sequel would find a way out of a lot of that. Like, you get a great cast, you get an interesting whodunit story, and then you come out on the other side, feeling like, hey, I watched something pretty cool. And when that didn't happen in Murder on the Orient Express, I was like, okay, he's not going to let that happen twice, right? Kenneth Branagh is a good enough filmmaker to not let that happen again. And unfortunately, this falls into a lot of the same issues I had with Murder on the Orient Express. Interesting story, interesting premise, and it should have been a lot more gripping than it was. And then the whodunit in the end just made you go, okay, like that's a thing. And I mean, it kind of makes sense, and I believe it, and that's it. Like, there was no real shock and awe factor. You could kind of, maybe, if you were really keen on the details and paying attention, you might have been able to guess who and exactly did what. And this, I don't know. I'm out on the other side just thinking, yeah, it was all right. I didn't hate watching it. It didn't waste my time, but it didn't exactly thrill me. It didn't exactly blow me away. And that's why I'm going to be giving this film a B-. Yeah, it doesn't exactly stay, it's not average, in the C range. It's just that B-. It's not quite average, but it's not quite, good, and it's definitely not great. So it's kind of floating there at a B-. If you wanted to see this, I'd say, hey, check it out. I think a lot of people could get more out of this than me. I don't know if it's because I see a lot of movies. You see a lot of the tropes, and you kind of know when you get a structure of a film, where to pick up on certain things, what details are important, or when they mention something offhand, like, oh, this particular item is missing, and you go, okay, like, I have to remember this particular missing item plays in somehow, and you kind of try to figure out how or why. Some people, like my sister, could probably pick up on it quicker than I could, or we're all different, and it'll work differently for everybody. So I'm hoping other people get more entertainment out of this, because I was really hoping that this would be something a little more special, and just found it being just so okay, kind of okay good. I don't know how to better describe it. This is Death on the Nile. What do you guys think? Leave a like on the video if you could. It is greatly appreciated, as is subscribing to the channel. Everyone counts, and it's great, to see people interested in following along as I do these reviews. I have a lot of fun doing them. And then finally, leave a comment. What did you think of this movie? Or have you read the Agatha Christie novels? I'm very curious if you have or not, because, like I said, never have, and I'm very curious how accurate these are to the books. So without any further ado, guys, I will not waste any more of your time. Have a good one, and I will see you again soon. That is not how I end these videos. And until next time, I'll be seeing you. That's how I end them, right? Yeah.